vitality of spirit is within you. I have observed too many people who allow life to become dull, less than vital, and almost lifeless. Many of us continue to live a life that is less than what we truly desire because we just don't take the responsibility to stir up the spirit within us. Now, I know this is true because I have to do this to myself, and I see it with people every day. They fail to stir up the spirit within them. We must take the responsibility to accept life as more than our past experiences, more than what we see in the world around us. We must take every opportunity to allow the passion within us to be expressed. We must let go of anything or anybody that hinders this process. Keep them at arm's length, if nothing else. If we withhold our passion, suppress it, postpone it, or disavow it, we shall lose it. We shall lose it. Love God and love your neighbor as yourself. That means to love God and love your neighbor. That means everything that you see, feel, hear, taste, or touch, everything that surrounds you, that's your neighbor. That's what you're neighboring in on. So if we can say the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and we're not going to worry too much about what we see in our mental neighborhood, so to speak. So we must let go of anything or anybody that hinders our progress, this process. If we withhold our passion, suppress it, postpone it, or disavow it, we will lose it. We will lose it in old age. We will lose it in illness. We will lose it in poverty. We will lose it in loneliness. We will lose it through depression and a myriad of other world effects. Now, I know people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who continually look forward to new experiences, new adventures in life. We just had some man here in the Palm Springs area that was celebrating, I think, his 95th birthday, and he said one of the things on his bucket list was to drive a car 100 miles an hour. So a bunch of people got together, and they paid for him to go to one of those racetrack places here in the desert. There's one in Coachella, I think. And he got to drive a car 100 miles an hour. He said it was like floating. So we can all do the things that we choose to do if we allow ourselves to feel that passion, to stir up that spirit within us. Because at the same time, I know people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who are beginning to show evidence of aging in their faces way beyond their years. Why? Because the spirit is energy, passionate energy. They are obstructing this energy, this life-enhancing substance of God. They're obstructing it. So they're starting to feel the age. They're starting to feel age. Spirit is vital and alive. It is the life of us, the joy of us. It is our happiness, our love, our power. It is our passion for living. We absolutely cannot let anything diminish this passion within us for living. Absolutely nothing. But so many of us do. We allow the temporary conditions and circumstances in our lives to suck the energy out of us. We allow the world of effects to determine the level of energy we live in. That is the things that are going on around us. We cannot do this. We cannot let anything stop us from lifting our spirits higher and higher every day. We cannot let people, places, or conditions determine our passion for life. We must stop living life at a snail's pace and begin to cultivate a great and glorious passion for life. Spirit cannot move fresh, new ideas and experiences through a mind that is consumed with the ordinary. So our lives become dull or without passion. In other words, they become hell, a hell. Hell is a life devoid of passion, devoid of enthusiasm, devoid of hope, devoid of joy. We must release this stranglehold on our joy and happiness and allow the Spirit to fully express its passion through us, as us, and for us. Now, God is good and good is God. But that doesn't get us anywhere to believe that God is good and good is God if we don't put ourselves in a position to accept that good, to live in that good, to feel the goodness of the good, so to speak. How do we let our lives be filled with a greater good? How do we let our lives be filled with a greater excitement and vitality? Because so many of us are suppressing our passion for life. We are letting something obstruct the good in our lives. But we must know that beyond that obstruction is the great unobstructed power and presence and Spirit of God seeking to move through us. So how do we remove the obstruction? We begin to fully live the life that is ours. Not our parents' life, not our friends' life, not our past experiences, but the life we choose for ourselves. We begin to reject anyone else's idea of who we are and what we are about. We are an original. God did not Xerox our life. We are an original, and our life must reflect our originality, our uniqueness. A fully expressed, passionate life can look like ego to many people. Why? Because we see so few people who actually live this way that we automatically think there must be something egotistic about it when we observe it. But that is not the truth. We cannot allow the opinions and judgments of the world to obstruct us from living our life. Yes, people will have their opinions, people will have their judgments, but they are just judgments and opinions, nothing more. Nothing more. Just don't let them move you. Don't let them move you. My brother-in-law Dave used to use an expression from the 60s that deflects judgment. No matter what someone is saying, and believe me, I have been around Dave when people have said some pretty interesting things to him, he just says, groovy. Whatever you think, groovy. Whatever your opinion is, groovy. Dave is not moved by it. You see, Dave has touched on that thing within himself that knows that people are going to do, going to say, and going to be whatever they choose. He just doesn't let it become his problem, his opinion, or his judgment, or take away his energy. So it's groovy. It's just groovy. A life without passion is a road to nowhere. It is a dull hell. It is a dull hell. You know, when you look at a TV program these days, I watched that show Gunsmoke, the old black and white version, on the Inspire network. And during that hour that Gunsmoke is on, there are all these commercials for people that have illnesses, that people that need to be healed, that people that have problems. All these commercials. And most of them are law firms offering to help people get over something that some drug or some chemical or something has done to them. Life can become a dull hell when we live in the world as the world is. But as the world turns from our viewpoints, from our opinions and our judgments, and we allow ourselves to become that unique, individualized Spirit of God that we are, living in this spacesuit that we call the human body, taking up space here on planet Earth, and we start feeling a greater joy, a greater happiness, a greater peace, a greater hope for the good that we want to live, a greater hope for believing those words of the Mastermind Jesus that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Words spoken without passion are not remembered. Work done without passion is just work. So we must be passionate about maintaining confidence in the good in all things and all people. We must be passionate about discovering the good that God has already prepared for us. Passion is energy. Energy moves things. The energy in the ocean creates the waves. The energy in the clouds creates the rain. We must stir up this energy in order to move our lives forward into growth and expansion, forward with new ideas, new adventures to that something greater than we have experienced in the past. Just like that 95-year-old man here in the desert who wanted to drive a car over 100 miles an hour. He got to do it. We must seek that which creates even greater passion within us, creates within us a desire for expansion and growth. We must surround ourselves with people who support us in our goals and our plans. We must let go of the people, places, and things that attempt to bring our energy down, that support us in being less than who we truly are. If we don't, we will begin to grow old, even older than our years, even older than our years. Let's remember these words of the great Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson said, "People do not grow old. When they cease to grow, they become old." Think about those words. People do not grow old. When they cease to grow, they become old. People do not grow old. When they cease to grow, they become old. Let's always remember and never forget, the vitality of spirit is within us. The vitality of spirit is within me. Go look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, look yourself directly in the face and say, the vitality of spirit is within me. The vitality of spirit is within me. And so it is. So it is. And so it always will be. Amen. Amen. Let's think about what we can do today.